The very first time I was taught how to tell the time from the clock was when I was 8 years old. I was actually taught by one of my aunties, Auntie Sophia Dakwa, who used to teach at Northridge Lyceum. I remember one day she came home and called me to the kitchen. She had brought some toys because she was a teacher, and she brought some toys and some textbooks, and she asked me to tell her what the time is, because where we used to live then, the clock was behind one of the doors, so you had to go look at the time, come and tell it. So I went there, looked at the time, the clock, and I remember clearly when I came, I said the short hand is on 9 and the long hand is on 4 and the thinnest hand keeps moving. She laughed. I don't know if she ever gets to watch this video, if she'll remember this, but I remember so clearly, Then she took the time to teach me how to tell the time anytime I look at the clock. But I'll tell you something interesting of what I've learned about this incident. I'm Del Quest, your mind surgeon. Stick and stay, I'll be right back. Welcome back. We're talking about telling the time from the clock. So in my prelude, I was talking about an auntie who taught me how to tell the time. And because she was a teacher, she told me that you need to learn the 5 times table. Yeah. As at age 8, I was able to recite the times table, from 2 to 10. But the easiest of it was the 5 times table, because you just do the addition of 5. So you move from 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 to 25 to 30 to 35 to 40 to 45 to 50 to 55 to 60. And you're done by the 12th count. But I didn't know that I could use that to tell the time until she told me. But after she left, I was given a book where there's a prototype of a clock. So you just move the sticks or the hands on the clock, and then the book would ask you what the time is, and then you say it, and then you press a certain button, then it says the time. You check whether you're correct or wrong. So that's how I learned how to tell the time, the clock, from the clock. But in recent times, you don't have to bother your head around it, because we have what you call digital clocks, right? So you can just look at your phone and you can tell it's 2:10 p.m. Or you can just look at your wristwatch and you can tell the time. You don't need to know what time is it from the clock. And then I went somewhere, I remember later, I think it was in school, when I was the office boy back in upper level education, what we call GSS, right? So we had a clock in our headmaster's office that tells the time, but didn't have any number in it. There was no 12 or 3 or 9 or 6. It was just flat, blank, with the hands moving. And I was confused, actually, because I was like, how then do you tell the time? How are you sure that the position of the clock on the wall is even right, because there's no numbers on it? But little did I know that I was going to see something that changed my perspective about life, and I would like to share that with you. I was the office boy then, so I had the privilege to open the office and then open the other classrooms, okay? So one day I just stood on the table, because when you open the office, the first thing you see is a wall clock. So I stood on the table and brought the clock down. Then I watched the back of the clock and I saw this piece of innovation, okay? So there's a battery behind it, and when I opened it, I heard a tick-tock sound, because you could hear the tick-tock, tick-tock. Then when I looked closely, I saw some movement of parts, something like a disc, different shaped disc behind the back, that when one moves the other part, and the other part moves the other part. And then you look at it, and then you'll see that the hands of the clock moves. So there was this button that when I could move everything. I love to wear a wristwatch, and so I looked at my wristwatch digitally, and then I looked at this clock, and then I started fidgeting with it, okay? Then I missed out on getting the clock back to its original positions in terms of the hands. So my then headmaster, may he so rest in peace, Master SYFF. Very disciplined man who contributed to what I had become when it comes to the spectrum of intelligence. He was so strict, he would force you to learn. So he came and he realized that the clock has been tampered with because he works with time. Then he called me. I have an English name, very long name, Crepindale, and I shortened it to be Dale. So he has a way of calling it Crepandeli. Or he goes like, Quest. He's an LA man from the Volta region. So he goes, my surname is Quest. And he goes like, Quest, who touched this clock? And I went like, I had to tell the truth, because if you don't tell the truth, there are consequences. I'm not going to say this on social media. I mean, those who schooled with me know what that man can do beyond just caning you. Okay? So I confessed that I'm the one who touched the clock. Then he told me to fix it. I was under pressure with him alone in the office. So I remembered clearly how the clock looked like in my house. Then I fixed the clock, because there's a hole behind it I have to put on a nail on the wall. So when I fixed it, I knew that there's the way to fix it. Then I knew that the top part should be 12, the down part should be 6, to my left should be 9, and to my right should be 3. Then I looked at my wristwatch and I fixed the clock and put it where it's supposed to be. But when it came to the second hand, I had to put it on 12. Then I left it. And he was impressed that I fixed the clock, because he told me that, that's a 5 times table. I said, yes. I was taught by an auntie. I'm spending time to talk about all of this because there's something that changed my perspective when it comes to telling the time. And I'm relating that with life. Do you realize that the hand of the clock that keeps running at a certain speed is almost insignificant when it comes to telling the time? Let me take it again. The hand that is going the most speed, or that does a lot of movement within a short time, is almost insignificant when it comes to telling the time. I'm not saying it's not needed. It's very needed, because it's the movement of that hand, the second hand, that causes the other parts to move. But the middle hand, the one between the slimmest or the second hand and the shortest hand, the middle one helps you to tell the time. But the main hand that actually gives you the pivotal reference when it comes to telling the time. So let's say if it's the shortest hand is at 4 o'clock and the middle hand is at 12, then it's 4 o'clock p.m. or a.m. The shortest hand helps you to tell the time, but it's not the one with the most movement within the shortest time. I don't know if you're following the conversation, because it takes a certain revolution before it moves from one nominal number to the other. It's the same thing with our solar system, where you have the Earth moving around, you have the moon moving around the Earth, and you have the Earth revolving around the sun on its axis. Okay? I've come to know that that is life. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Sometimes the people who are slow in life from the beginning, the people who are seen not to be doing well because they are taking their time to understand a situation or to go through a certain process, are the ones who in the end become successful and are very important when it comes to life. Yes, but those who are very fast moving, they are almost everywhere, they seem to be moving at a very fast pace, usually don't matter in the end. And you can give a practical example with the very brightest guys in your class. Where are they now? I'm not saying that you shouldn't be bright in class. I'm talking about the people who were seen to be doing well in class. Very intelligent, outspoken, and they are almost everywhere. The teachers love them, the professors love them, the lecturers are always mentioning their names. They're your friends. Where are they now? I mean, if we do the statistics, they're doing well in life, but the ones who are calling the shot today, are the ones who were seen to be dumb in class, not intelligent, because somewhere along their life journey, they found something, held on to it, and catapulted themselves into a place of relevance that possibly have become wealthy in society and are well-to-do. That's life. It's not always about how fast you're moving and how quick you started. It's how steady and consistent you have been over the years. Because I look at myself and sometimes I ask myself certain questions that what can I be identified with over the years, and what have I done consistent with my life over the years? So I ask this question to my friends around me and they go like, if I look at you, Dale, all I think about is mindset, the mind. And that's why I end the name The Mind Surgeon, because everything about the mind of a person intrigues me. I would like to know more about how people think, why they do what they do, why we are programmed the way we're programmed. So everything about the mind, the body, and the soul of a man, spirit, excites me, and I want to know more about it. So it's more about being consistent at what you do, right? So when you look at the clock, the slowest is more relevant when it comes to telling the time. The second slowest is more relevant when it comes to telling the time. But the guy that is all over the place is almost insignificant when it comes to telling the time to someone. So you don't go saying that we have a meeting and you're supposed to be meeting at let's say 1:30 50 seconds PM. Nobody tells the time like that, unless you're in the athletics where you're breaking a record. Then you consider the seconds, because the seconds matters, right? But generally speaking, when you're talking about telling the time, you don't consider the second hand. So all I'm saying is that in life, you don't compare yourself to somebody who is on top speed, because we are all going to different destinations. And the fact that somebody is speeding doesn't mean the person would reach his destination the fastest. But when you're steady and consistent, you take your time, you know where you're going, and learning the errors and the life lessons on your way, you become relevant in the end. And that's how you become wealthy and successful. Because when you take your time to grow through life, through development, it cannot be taken away from you. It becomes an asset that stays and sticks with you for life. And that is one of the things I have learned when it comes to the clock. I learned this very early in life, and I decided not to waste my time in setting associations, companies, friendships, and all of that. Yeah, once in a while, you while away time and all of that, but it's something that has stuck with me. So anytime I watch the clock, it reminds me about life, that sometimes, and just sometimes, when you are tempted to compare yourself with people that are seemingly doing well in life because they are moving with top speed, you only have to know who you are when it comes to your assignment and your purpose and everything in life. The most important thing is you know where you're going, you know your rotation in life. When it's your turn, you would move to the next number. And when you're telling the time, they would mention your name. Relax, be steady. Life is not a race, and the race is not always for the swift. It's always for the person who is steady and moves with God. And this is what I leave you with. Be that shorthand on the clock that in the end becomes relevant in telling the time. I'm Dale Question, Mind Surgeon. Stick and stay. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. We'll be back again with another content. Take care and let your mind do the conversations. I'm out.